Hey guys, welcome to The Market is Open. Check out our website, themarketisopen.com. Also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We would really appreciate your support by subscribing. Okay, today we're going to be talking about some Tesla news from the week. So one thing is that the new browser update using Chromium is coming. Elon Musk tweeted this on Twitter, so we're going to talk a bit about that. There's also been some news about the Hardware 3 rollout, and it's a custom chip that's going to replace the NVIDIA chip that's currently being used in all of the cars. There's also been some news about Tesla being able to recognize red lights, which is another step towards improving their full self-driving capabilities. They've also announced that they've hit 1 billion Model 3 miles driven. And lastly, they're making changes to Tesla's service, and you'll only have to go there as needed. Also, here's a blurry picture of our new t-shirt. Check out the links in the description, and maybe I'll make a video on how to solve this integral equation, but basically the result is going to be Elon Musk. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Again, link in the description. Okay, so let's start by talking about the Chromium browser that Elon Musk tweeted about. He says that Tesla's going to be upgrading their browser, which currently I believe is some version of WebKit, and it's going to be running Chromium, which is what Google Chrome is based on. They use Chromium, which is their open source platform, which is created by Google, and Chrome is built on top of that. They added some of their own little features, such as H.264, which is a video encoding technology, and they also have MP3 support. It supports Flash as well. So basically, Google takes Chromium, which is sort of the base browser, and it works as a browser on its own, but they add their own licenses and proprietary features into Chromium and call it Chrome, and that's the Chrome browser that we're all used to. So basically, Google adds their own things, such as, they also have like automatic updates, and additional formats for videos and things like that. But basically, Tesla could take the Chromium browser and start adding things on top of that to make their own browser, which seems to be the plan. Even Microsoft says that they're going to be doing that for their Edge browser. The nice thing about Chromium is that it uses V8, which is Google's JavaScript engine, and since a lot of websites use JavaScript now, I mean, it's really a requirement, but V8 is super fast. It's an incredibly fast way to process JavaScript, and it's written in C++. And so I guess Tesla's WebKit browser was getting pretty slow. Apparently not a lot of people actually use the browser feature in the Tesla, and it's been basically, I guess, unusable for most people. So this should really speed things up, hopefully. And it seems like Tesla has been working on this for quite some time, as Elon readily says that they're going to be upgrading pretty soon to the new browser. Speaking of browsers, it looks like this was found in some of the browser code. It shows that Autopilot Hardware 3, there seems to be another little tag that's been inserted into the code, which is Autopilot Hardware 4, which represents the actual Hardware 3 hardware. I think Hardware 2.5 was considered Autopilot Hardware 3. But basically, it seems that Tesla is going to be rolling out their new Autopilot hardware chip in Model S and X. And that's going to enable things like navigate on autopilot, advanced summon, they can do auto park and auto lane change, and some of the traffic light features. And as we talked about in previous videos, this chip will be a lot more powerful than the current chip, and they'll be able to sort of analyze the camera footage at full resolution and take advantage of the chip's power to basically improve or their self-driving on the neural network. And now Elon has said before that it will take a couple months for all new production cars to have this chip, but I believe if you've paid for it, it's a free upgrade. Tesla's going to upgrade you with their latest chip. And Elon has said before that they are starting to roll this out, and nobody's really been talking about this, but basically all the other automakers are relying on the probably the NVIDIA chip, which can't handle the amount of cameras and the amount of data that Tesla has. So again, this does seem to be a big step in the right direction for full self-driving. And speaking of which, Tesla has this new red light recognition feature. So previously, or I guess currently, when you're using auto steer, which helps keep you in the lane, but if you come to a red light, the car kind of just goes through the red light, or like a stop sign, for example. But now it'll warn you if you're about to go through a red light. And so that's basically Tesla's running their software sort of in shadow mode or in the background. And that's going to basically have the drivers of the car teach their neural net the correct way to behave in these situations. So it might alert you about stopping at a red light, and then you're like, oops, I need to stop at the red light, and you stop, and Tesla will their neural net will sort of learn like, okay, yes, like that was correct and you should have stopped at this light. And that'll basically enhance their full self-driving capabilities in the future. And so Elon does expect full self-driving to be feature complete sometime this year. Now those features obviously won't be fully enabled. You'll still need to pay attention, but they'll likely be running in some sort of shadow mode to help give warnings to the driver. But it does seem like Tesla's self-driving is coming along. There was this video for Enhanced Summon where the car basically comes out of a parking spot and goes towards the driver. So it navigates itself through the parking lot, as we've seen in a couple older videos. But it now seems like customers are able to do this on their own. And now a lot of this is enabled by the amount of data that Tesla has. Tesla also announced that they hit 1 billion miles of driving for the Model 3 alone. So that's pretty gigantic considering they also have all of the data from their previous cars, the Model S and the Model X. And they continue to accelerate and deliver and produce a lot of Model 3s and bring those onto the road. So because of that, like a big percentage of that is going to be autopilot miles, which is basically training the neural net for all of these different edge cases, like on how people are driving, which is going to make it difficult for competitors to catch up. Google Waymo, for example, doesn't really have that many like sensors on actual cars that are driving around the road, so they're relying heavily on simulation, which actually has been pretty powerful, like for games and things. But the question is, like, will it work well for driving as well? But given all of the edge cases that you don't really think about, and no simulation can really produce that, it seems. But Google's pretty smart, and they're also relying on expensive LiDAR units, which we did talk about in a couple previous videos. But basically, Elon was saying that those only help you reach like a local minimum, but Tesla says you could do the same thing pretty much with cameras. And LiDAR is effectively shooting out light waves and bouncing them off of things in order to, I guess, calculate the distances and things like that from objects around it. And you can get a pretty clear three-dimensional picture of the things around you. Now, it seems like cameras are able to sort of do that. They take the light that's already coming off of objects around you, but basically they take those and they can process it. Now, cameras can't really see the depth of things, but there seems to be pretty good software now that does allow you to see the depth. And if you do put cameras, like two of them right next to each other, and you can sort of get a little angle between them, you can actually get the depth of different objects much more easily. And the disadvantage also of LiDAR is that it is blocked by the same things that light would regularly be blocked by. Like if you can't see through rain, for example, then the LiDAR won't be able to pass through the rain either. And that's where radar comes in. And Tesla's only focused on using radar and cameras. So we'll see, but right now it seems that Tesla does have another billion miles that they just added just with Model 3, and that's going to come with a lot of autopilot data that they're going to be used to get ahead in the self-driving game. Now, Tesla also announced that they're going to be changing their service maintenance requirements to be more as needed. They have a list of the new service requirements, which I do have in an article that I posted earlier today. So you can actually check that out in the description. It's basically an article talking about Tesla's service. But basically, Tesla has been collecting data over the last couple of years on its maintenance, like data about the service and maintenance of the cars. And it turns out that the cars don't really break down that much, and there isn't really that much to change for the cars. It's not like a gas car where you need to change your oil and your power steering fluid and some of the components that do all the power steering and all of these things, your fuel tank filters and all the things that electric cars don't even have. So previously Tesla was selling maintenance plans where you would sign up for, I guess, 3 to 4 years, for example, and you would come every year to have your car maintained, regardless of whether it actually needed the maintenance or not, but it's sort of like preventative care. But Tesla is basically shifting that to an as-needed schedule. So if you actually have a problem, I guess, you would go to the Tesla service center. And that should help relieve some of the bottlenecks and the strain that has been put on the system given all of the new Model 3s that are now on the road. So I think that'll actually be pretty positive for the company and for the stock. And the stock is down, I guess, to like a multi-week low. This seems mainly because of the Elon Musk and the SEC thing, not really to do with the actual business of Tesla and how Tesla's actually operating. It seems that the business is actually doing quite well, despite what people are saying. But let's have a look at Tesla's maintenance costs and revenues. So if you look, the top line here, which I've highlighted, is Tesla's service and other revenue. For the last couple quarters. This is from the last quarter, the one before that, and the one last year. and these are for the full year. And you'll see that the service revenues have always been less than the cost of the service. So Elon Musk has said that he doesn't want service to be a profit center for Tesla. And the other thing to note here is that the other section includes like merchandise, which I assume is actually pretty profitable. I mean, Tesla wouldn't be selling merchandise if it didn't have like a high margin on it. So I think the services is actually worse than what we're seeing here. And not only that, but with all the Model 3s on the road, because Tesla continues to produce and deliver maybe let's say 5,000 Model 3s per week. We'll see in a couple of days what the actual numbers are. But basically, that's putting a lot of strain on their service centers, which has been like a major source of concern for investors and for customers, which are having big problems getting their Model 3 serviced on time or with the parts that are needed. Sometimes the parts are not in the correct location. And basically, Tesla's going to have to drastically expand the number of service centers that they have, the number of people there, and things like that in order to keep up. And from an investment standpoint, that's probably actually not a good idea because A, it's going to cost a lot to open up the service centers. I mean, these are brick and mortar buildings and they cost a lot to maintain, to pay the rent for, or if Tesla's purchasing them. And then Tesla needs to hire people and get all the parts and bring them all into each of these service centers and make sure that they're constantly supplied. And on top of that, it seems like Tesla actually loses money on every service center. So why would they invest so heavily in something that loses money? I mean, obviously they need to service all of the cars. But basically, the change that they made was saying that the people that have just regular annual service that just come every year, basically for no reason to have their car serviced, these people don't need to come anymore. And so you would think Tesla would lose money on that. But that means that they don't really need to ramp up the number of service centers that they're opening as quickly as before. If they can sort of take out all of the people that really didn't need maintenance but were showing up anyway and booking appointments and bottlenecking the system. So I think this is something that Elon Musk he's even said that he's been focusing on this, and this seems to be one of the first major steps that he's taking to improve the service center. And I think that change will help improve the services for each customer who've been having like a lot of problems lately. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, please check the description for our new t-shirt, a link to that, and the article on service that I wrote just a couple hours ago. Also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We would really appreciate your support by subscribing and smash that like button.